boys and girls? It's Miss Davis, and we are working on a new standard, GSE 5 NBT 2. GSE stands for, you should know this by now, Georgia Standard of Excellence. The 5 represents 5th grade. NBT The purpose of these 3 columns is to help explain that what our problem is right here, 10 to the 0 power is multiplied by 5 in 1800ths, which is a decimal. This right here is telling us in a larger font what the red exponent is in each problem. And then in the 3rd and final column, this is telling us how many times to move the decimal point in which direction, to the right. I don't know why I decided that in purple. I wasn't thinking. 0 places to the right. 1 place to the right. 2 places to the right. 3 places to the right. So if you would like to pause and copy down these 2 portions right now, that would be ideal. So once you have it copied down, you can write this as I am writing down the answers when we I promise I was saying it the normal way while saying hundreds, tenths, thousands, and it wasn't clicking with my students a couple of years ago. And then I started saying tenths, hundreds, and thousands, and believe me, it all stuck with them. So then I kept saying it. It stuck with them, it stuck with me. We're all stuck with saying hundreds and thousands. Don't mind me, you know how I am by now. I have my little quirks, those things. So we have 10 to the 0 power times 5 and 1800s. Now, because it has an exponent of 0 and we're multiplying, remember, anytime you're multiplying, your value is always going to increase value. When you are multiplying, your value is always going to increase. So your product is going to be larger than the original number value you start out with. So think about multiplying, increasing. What about if think about twins and triplets and quadruplets and quintuplets and septuplets and octuplets. Octuplets. A lot of kids. There's more than one. So you see, you have twins. There's more than one child. There's 2 of them. And then you have triplets. That's 3 times than 1. So you have 3 kids. You're multiplying. There was a movie called Multiplicity. And every time I think of multiplicity, he kept adding on another person so he could have to do a whole bunch of jobs around the house. And that's what makes me think of multiplying, increasing. I just made a connection to something that I revolved in my personal life, and that movie made me think of when you're multiplying, you're increasing something. You're getting more of it. So multiplying, think about the M and multiplying to more. Multiplying more. And then when you're dividing, the D in dividing is going down, decreasing. D, divide, decrease. Divide, D, decrease. Decrease. Multiply, increase. More of it. Keep that in your head, okay? Try. Just try it. So because this exponent is telling us that 0, nothing's going to move. The decimal point isn't going anywhere. So our value is going to be the same, which is, piece of that, 5 and 1800s. Nothing happened. Now we have 10 to the 1st power times 5 and 1800s. The exponent is 1. So 10 to the 1st power is basically 10. So they're saying you're going to multiply 10 times point to the right. Because once I move my decimal point to the right, what happens? It went from $5.18 or 5 1800s to 51 8 tenths. It went from $5.18 or 5 1800s to $51.80, or you could say 51 8 tenths. So this is now 51 8 tenths. Now, 10 to the second power times 5 1800s. Well, our exponent is 2. So we're going to move our decimal point 2 places to the right. Because we're multiplying, we want our value to increase in value. So 10 to the second power, let's change this exponent up here to a 2, and then we're multiplying, so we're increasing. Our exponent says 2 now, so I would have moved my decimal point 1, 2 places to the right. So now it's my new decimal point, 518. You can leave it as a whole number. Make sure you put your decimal there, and you can put 1 or 2 zeros behind it. If you look at its dollar amount, it went from $5 to $51. Now it's $518. You see what's happening? Are you noticing that pattern yet? So this is now, you can leave it as that, or you can write it as, now our last one is 10 to the third power. Why don't you go ahead and pause the video and work this one out by yourself, and then when you check it, when you press play, I'm going to have the answer right here. Pause. So now we have 3 as our exponent, so our decimal point is going to move 3 places. Now let me write it right here again so I can have more room. I move my decimal point 3 places to the right. 1, 2, 3. Make that decimal point. We're going to fill this hump with something. It went from $5 to $51 to $518. Now it is at, erase these other ones, $5,180, or you can say either way, I will accept it and it will be correct. There you go. Now with this one, you can use place value patterns to find the product of a number and the decimals 1/10, and that is supposed to be 1,000th. It's supposed to be a decimal point. I don't know why I pressed the wrong button. There you go. So when we are multiplying by 1, the decimal point does not move anywhere. When we're multiplying by 1/10, our decimal place point moves 1 place to the left. When we're multiplying by 100ths, we're moving our decimal point 2 places to the left. Now, because we're moving it to the left, our value must be doing what? Left decreasing. Think about a number line. And this is another good example that I've used in the past. Think about a number line. You have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now going to the left, it becomes -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. Okay? When you're moving to the right, our value goes what? It increases. When we move to the left, our value is decreasing, okay? So anything in front of the 0, when it's going to the right, your decimal point is moving to the right, that means your value is increasing. But when you have to move your decimal point to the left, that means your value is going to be lower or less than the original starting value. So that's just something that I've always thought of when moving my decimal points from left to right. My multiplication tells me that I'm going to have a value that is going to increase. And when I'm dividing or using decimal points, that's going to let me know to move my decimal point to the left to show that my value is decreasing. So that's just a little something I've kept in my mind. So we have 1 times 2,457. You guys should know that. It's going to be 2,457. Now we have this one right here. 1/10 times 2,457. I'm just gonna. All right. Now what you realize is 2,457 is a whole number. Because 1/10, this 1 is in the 10th place. As a fraction, that's 1/10. That's the 10th place. How many zeros do you see in tenths? 1. So how many places to the left are you going to move your decimal point? 1 place to the left. But you're probably like, Miss Davis, 2,457 is a whole number. Where is the decimal point? Well, think about it as money. If you're looking at $2,457, where would the decimal point be to represent change? Right behind the 0. Now, I have a decimal point. That's the thing. You can put that decimal point in there. You don't have to say, oh, where's the decimal point? You have to put the decimal point in there. That's all you. Now, you have a decimal point. Now, you can move that decimal point. You control that decimal point. I tell you one thing what I'm going to do. Let me see. Hold on. I just had a really awesome idea. I made my own decimal point. There. Now you get to see me actually move it. So, the 1 is in the 10th place. As a fraction that represents 1/10. How many zeros are in 10? 1 0. So my decimal point moves 1 place to the left. So my value went from $2,457. Now it's, where's my eraser? Now it's $245 and 7 cents. Now, copy this down, pause and copy. Now, I have 100th. The zero's in the tenths, the 1 is in the hundredths place. So as a fraction, that's the hundredths place. How many zeros are in 100? 2. So how many places to the left, because it's decreasing in value, how many places to the left are you going to move your decimal? Well, I have 2 place values behind the decimal point, so I'm going to move it 1, 2 place values to the left. It has decreased even lower value to 24 and 57 hundredths. Look at that. It went from 2,457, let me write that up here, to $245.07. Now it's at 24 and 57 hundredths. Well, let's see what's going to happen next. I bet you guys are just thinking. You're thinking, if Miss Davis sits here and she puts I am about to blow your mind. You'll be like, what? This is so easy. Like, you guys coming into class next day, Miss Davis, that video was so easy. Once you see this pattern, you'll be like, I already know what the answer is right now. Just look and tell me what you think the answer is. Just look and tell me. Think. You sure already know what's going to happen. Now, I have tenths, hundredths. My 1 is now in the thousandths. The fifths. So as a fraction, that is 1 over 1,000. Well, how many zeros are in 1,000? 3. So how many places to the left how many places to the left are you going to move your decimal point? 3. 1, 2, 3. So now my new value is 2 and 457 thousandths. Now I bet you're thinking, but Ms. Davis, you said when you multiply, your value increases. Yes. When you are multiplying, your value does increase. But when you're multiplying by a power of 10, your value increases. But we're multiplying by a decimal. So we're multiplying by a decimal, our value is going to decrease because we're working with a value behind the decimal point. There are no dollar amounts. That's like thinking 10 cents, that's 1 cent. And this is 1 cent out of 1,000 pennies. When you look at it as a fraction, 1 out of 1,000 pennies. hundredths place, this is 1 cent out of 100 cents. And this right here is in the tenths place, so this is 10 cents out of 100 cents. Okay? So this is a pattern. It went from 2,457 to 245 and 7 tenths to 24 and 57 hundredths to 2 and 457 thousandths. The numbers have stayed the same. The only thing that has changed was the movement of my decimal point. So I'm going to flip to the next page. And I want you guys to copy this down, turn to a new page in your journal, copy all of this down, and pause the video, and I want you to work it out. Now you try finding patterns and products when multiplying by powers of 10. Same examples of what we just did. Here's multiplying by a decimal by power of 10, multiplying whole numbers by power of 10s, multiplying whole numbers by decimals, and multiplying decimals by decimals. Right here you already have the decimal points in the problem for you. Remember, when you're multiplying by a decimal, your value is going to decrease. When you're multiplying by a power of 10, your value is going to increase. Okay? Decimal, multiplying by decimal is going to decrease. Multiplying by a power of 10 is going to increase. Okay? So pause and copy down. And then once you finish answering all of these, it's 8, 10, 20, 14 of these problems, then you guys can play the video again and then check your answers, okay? So here are your answers. Check and make sure you have the correct answer for all of them. Right here you should have 17 and 21 hundredths, 172 and 1/10, 1,721, 17,210. What happened? The numbers stayed the same, but my value increased. I had $17.21, $172.10, $1,721, and then $17,210. Here, my value is increasing. It started at 253, then it went to 2,530, 25,300. Then it's at 253,000, and that's it. Over here, it's decreasing because I'm multiplying by a decimal. So I have 153, and then I multiplied by 1/10 and went to 15 and 3/10. Then I multiplied by 100ths and went to 1 and 53 hundredths. Here, I have 1 and 25 hundredths. Then I multiplied by 1/10 and went to 125 thousandths. Then I multiplied by 100ths, so it went to 125 10,000ths. Okay? So, hopefully you guys did a really good job. I think you guys did do a really good job on that. So let's recap. We just found patterns and products when multiplying by powers of 10. And this is standard GSE 5 NBT 2. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Remember, if you have any questions, by all means, sign for Davis Direct. And if you need some extra practice, please go on Learn Zillion on your unit plan. Look at the 5 NBT 2 standard. Roll on over to see the Learn Zillion videos, and then use your code to log into Learn Zillion and watch some of those videos as extra practice, okay? And when you come in, go to your 5th grade binder, pick out the worksheets pertaining to those standards for Unit 1, and get started. See you in class, and see you next video. Love you. Bye.